Today's topic, Ask Me Anything, Volume 8. Can't believe we already hit 8 of these now. And to celebrate Volume 8, we are going to do 8 questions today. And you may be asking, if you are a big fan of the channel, Chad, that's not your Ask Me Anything question. Or sure, excuse me, we will go through Ask Me Anything questions. You're right. I'll be honest, I got a little lazy today, did not bring the right shirt, didn't go back to get the other shirt. So I figured it's still a bright shirt. It's loud. It's obnoxious. There's palm trees on it. So I figured it's a good substitute. So hopefully you all will forgive me. I am human. I do show sometimes that I don't feel like going to do something. And this was one of those moments. But have no fear. We still have 8 vital questions today. We cover a little bit of everything. We got questions on married filing separately. We got Roth IRA, Roth questions. We got HSAs. Got a little bit of everything today. So I'm going to jump around. Kind of a backlog still of questions where in the past, I could break them up into nice categories. Today's more of a jumbled mess. So we have a little bit of everything there. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot too. A few real estate questions. So we have a few real estate questions also blended in today. So we will walk through 8 of those questions right now. Before we hit question number 1, quick favor to ask. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, now would be an awesome time to do that. Click on the bell icon, get a notification every time we release a new video like this one. And then if you give us a thumbs up, share the message, right? Share the love. That's it. That's the only pitch. Okay. Question number 1. When is married filing separately a good idea? And I am certain there are probably tax experts out there that can probably give us more answers. But from our side of it, the only time we are ever looking at married filing separately is for student loan purposes, right? So based on the income-driven repayment plans out there, there can be large, substantial benefits to you doing married filing separately. Now, it's not all that simple though, right? Because married filing separately, for the most part, does not benefit you in terms of the tax code. You are likely going to have a larger tax bill by doing married filing separately. So you're probably sitting there now thinking, well, Chad, that sounds horrible. Why is this a benefit again? Well, this is where the math comes in. So you need a good accountant, or possibly yourself. I would vouch for the accountant here, that can always run a worksheet that says married filing jointly versus married filing separately. And at the bottom of this worksheet, it'll tell you by doing married filing separately, you increase your tax bill by $1,000. Again, right now, no good news. But then you got to look at, well, what was the savings on the income-driven repayment plan? And usually I would love to give you better examples here, but because it is currently May of 2025, no one has any idea what student loans and IDRs will look like probably by the time this video goes live. Yay, this is fun. But usually you're going to have certain IDR plans that'll say, hey, you could do married filing separately and we will not include your spouse's income. And how do they calculate your student loan payments, your IDRs? Well, it's based on your AGI, your adjusted gross income, kick out the discretionary number, and then you get that number times whatever percentage it's going to be for your student loan number, and that's how you get your monthly payment. So it all starts from that AGI, that adjusted gross income number. So that's why married filing separately can be very, very important and a huge benefit, but you got to run the numbers, right? It's not that simple. And for those of you in community property states, it can even get a little bit more interesting. So let's just say that you are a high income physician making $400,000 per year, but you have a stay-at-home spouse. Well, the neat thing about married filing separately in community property states, the income will get equally dispersed by both of you. So on paper, physician making $400,000 will now show at $200,000. Now, where does this not benefit you? Let's just say the stay-at-home parent. Or let's change it. Let's just say that the other spouse was a nurse making $50,000 per year. Transferring income from the higher physician to the lower paying spouse here, in this example, we're just using it as a nurse as an example, that did not help, right? We transferred some of that higher income to that individual there. So keep an eye on that. But again, most of the time, especially when we're referring to physicians, even dual physician households, married filing separately in community property states can also be a unique tool if it makes sense for your circumstances. But from our side of it, married filing separately can be a good idea strictly for student loan purposes. Outside of that, usually one would argue married filing separately does not give you benefits in the tax code per se. All right, so that's number one. Next two coming up are real estate. All right, I hear a lot of talk about using real estate to save on taxes. Can you elaborate, please? I'm going to take this on the side of you're actually going to go buy your own rental property. Are there other ways to do this? Yes, there are. You can go into syndications. You can go add in REITs, real estate investment trust. But let's just assume that in the physician community in particular, again, usually who's watching, who's tuning in, you're thinking about buying your first rental property. There are savings to be had on taxes. And usually the main savings is in the form of the amortization, and that's where you're going to get the benefits on that side of it. So when you buy a rental property, they're going to, I say amortization, I should probably really say more or less label that as depreciation. So on the depreciation side of it is going to say, hey, when you buy this property, we're going to take that number and spread it out over 27 and a half years. So it's this fictitious thing per se that's going to help you offset the rental income. So just for easy math, let's just say that you bought a rental property and it's just everything, just even numbers. They're paying you $1,000 per month. You have $12,000 per month of rental income coming into you. All right, so we kind of look at the amortization of that 27 and a half years. Okay, here's your depreciation number per year. Let's just say that number ends up being $15,000. So when you're going through your Schedule E, it's going to say, hey, $12,000 of income, which you got to keep, right? It went into your pocket. Well, you had $15,000 for that given year of depreciation. So when you look through your Schedule E, you're actually not going to pay any taxes, right? Because the income was offset by the depreciation. That is the most simple, very simple example that I can give you on one of the main tax benefits that come from real estate. Again, there are a lot of ways to do this. Your Schedule E is a lot more complicated than that, right? There's a lot of moving parts here, but that's usually your big hitter on why there is a possible substantial benefit that comes from the real estate side of it. And that's one of the reasons, that's also one of the reasons why we like if the clients really want to get into real estate, we do like owning it outright more than like a syndication or a REIT. But you have to understand that, I've said this in numerous videos, rental real estate, especially early in the game, really probably forever in the game, it is anything but passive. This requires a lot of work, a lot of effort, even if you are outsourcing this, right? And you have a property manager. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. This could also go horribly wrong and you could lose a lot. So don't always assume, oh, well, it's passive income. Look at all the tax savings. There's a lot of moving parts to it. So just keep that in mind. Tread lightly, do the research. We come right back into real estate. Next one, can you elaborate on how rep status, which stands for real estate professional status, rep real estate professional status of a stay-at-home partner, spouse, can help reduce active income by investing in real estate? Take that same story I just gave you, right? Super simple example, $12,000 per year in income, your depreciation was $15,000. If you have a spouse that has qualified for real estate professional status, you can then use the extra $3,000 of depreciation. Remember, our example is $15,000, $12,000 there. So you have an extra $3,000 of depreciation. In this example, if one of you has rep status, which again, it's not like you go buy this car, right? You have to meet the requirements for this. Pretty much it's your full-time job. And if you think, hey, I own one rental property, will I get rep status? Likely not, right? You need to usually have a couple properties going here, at least, multifamily plus probably a little bit more. But with the rep status, you can then use that extra $3,000 in our example to then offset the ordinary income for the higher income spouse. So this is where it can get really interesting. But the hardest part with the rep status is that you need to have enough properties to justify the time commitment of your spouse, significant other, in terms of that's their full-time job, right? They got that rep status because of that. Very neat system, not simple, right? It's not simple to do that. You have to own numerous properties and you have to fully commit to it, right? It's not like you can't say, well, I don't feel like doing this. We'll just have a whole bunch of property managers and I'm not really going to worry about this. Like we'll tell them it is, but it's not, because this could also come back and go horribly wrong. So while we do love this strategy and it can be a massive tax savings, again, not all rainbows and butterflies. It does require a lot of work, a lot of effort. You will have tough days. You will have tough months. You will have tough years. anything when you're in real estate, right? Anytime you have the real estate in there, you have bad tenants, you have periods of time where you don't have any tenants and you're floating the bills. So just keep that in mind. A lot of tax benefits inside of real estate, but there's also a lot of other ways to build your net worth. Now, if you're in love with real estate, fantastic. But there are other ways as well. But two good questions there on the real estate side. All right, what do we have next? We have some HSA questions. Let me just scroll down here. If a couple has two HSAs through separate employers, is the max contribution still only $9,500 for the family? Right now, even if you both have HSAs, the max family is still, I'm recording this in the year 2025, so make sure you always match this up to your tax year, $8,550. So even if you are both employed at hospital A, hospital B, you both have high deductible health plans, they're HSA eligible, you are going to get capped out at a max of $8,550 year 2025, no matter what. So you can split that however you want, but you can't go higher than that number. Good question, popular question, comes up quite a bit. Next one, does health insurance premiums over your lifetime qualify as a qualified HSA expenditure? Unfortunately, no. Now, are there some health insurance premiums that can qualify? Yeah, like if you're in Cobra, those can qualify, but the lifetime value of your health insurance premiums do not classify. I assume that this question was likely on the idea of the stealth IRA, where if you save all those receipts, then you can go pull out a massive lump sum, tax penalty free on the HSA. I assume that's probably where they were headed with it, but unfortunately, no. Your day-to-day health insurance premiums do not count. Again, certain circumstances they do. The one that comes to mind right now for me is like Cobra premiums, if you are paying Cobra premiums. All right, home stretch, last three, because remember, volume 8 questions today. Next up, can you do a backdoor Roth IRA if you have a simple IRA? No. Well, let me rephrase it. You can, but you're going to have the pro rata issue, which pretty much blows up the entire strategy. You do not want to have the three daggers. Traditional IRA. Now, again, the one that you're converting here, as long as you get that to zero at the end of the year, we're cool with that. You don't want to have anything that says IRA, simple IRA, or a SEP IRA. Those are the three daggers. Those three can blow up your backdoor Roth IRA strategy. So a simple IRA is included in them, a SEP IRA. These two are missed quite a bit, the simple IRA and the SEP IRA, because people think like, oh, it's my employer plan. It still counts in the pro rata contribution, or the pro rata calculation, I should say. So if you are doing backdoor Roths year in and year out, you don't want traditional IRA, you don't want SEP IRA, you don't want simple IRA. Can you explain what is a Roth conversion in retirement? The video we released literally last week, so right before this video went live, was based on why we favor pre-tax over Roth contributions in your high income accumulator years. And it really comes down to the power of the Roth conversion. Now, remember, a Roth conversion is different than a backdoor Roth. A backdoor Roth is not wasting any of your pre-tax dollars. Now, technically, is there a Roth conversion in there? Yes, because you're going from your after-tax IRA to your backdoor, or to your Roth IRA, which we just call that the backdoor Roth, but you're not wasting any pre-tax dollars. On a true Roth conversion, we are purposely creating a tax bill for you. We are waiting until you stop working or your income drops substantially, and before those RMDs start, to purposely convert money from your pre-tax IRA to your Roth IRA to fill up those lower tax brackets. All joking aside, on what we know today, possibly the largest tax savings vehicle you will have in your entire life comes in that little window there of those Roth conversions, because you're trying to fill up those lower tax brackets. You don't want to waste those lower tax brackets. So a Roth conversion in retirement is that golden window from the day that you retire or when your income drops substantially to when those RMDs start. Now, depending on where Social Security is in the long run, Social Security usually for most high income households starts at 70. So it's usually from the day you retire to about age 70. But even there, you can still maybe sneak some in between 70 and 75. Again, those are current rules. RMDs can also change. Social Security could also get moved back. But again, recorded in 2025, those are the facts that we have today. So Roth conversion is an extremely powerful tool. For most, we're looking to do those a little bit later in the cycle of life, because that's when brackets will drop. Marginal brackets will drop quite a bit. Good question. Last but not least, does the mega backdoor Roth make sense for those who have employers making maximum employer contributions each year? So the mega backdoor, let's add a little bit of context here. Mega backdoor Roth is an opportunity in some, the biggest hurdle for most of you is your plan does not offer this, but some plans will allow you to make something called an after-tax contribution, and then they will convert it to a Roth for you. Sometimes they do that daily for you. So you're not using up any of your 23,500 number. It's an extra number, and you can go as high as 70,000. Yeah. There's only so many numbers I can remember, so I always have to keep my trusted cheat sheet nearby. So 23,500 is what you can do pre-tax. But there is a neat thing called after-tax contributions that will allow you to get more money into that account. And ideally, we still like after-tax contributions regardless, but ideally they will auto convert it to a Roth IRA for you or to a Roth 401k inside of that for you. So this question, it depends on how much the employer's putting in. So if the employer's match is getting you the whole way up to the max contribution of that 70,000, well, there's actually no more wiggle room then to do the after-tax contribution. But let's just say you put in your 23,000, the employer puts in a large contribution, and that gets you up to, let's just call it 60,000, right? When they plug in their profit sharing number, they did their match, all that stuff. Let's just say you capped out at 60,000. Even there, you could still have $10,000 left over that, if the plan allows for it, you can make a $10,000 after-tax contribution. This is different than a Roth. And then you would either keep it as an after-tax contribution, which not our favorite, but still a huge win there because you still get tax-deferred growth. But then they will also convert that to a Roth for you. Sometimes they'll do that internally in the plan to like the Roth 401k. Sometimes they'll actually allow you to move it into a Roth IRA. So it depends on the rules. So to that, again, a fantastic question, but it just depends on how much the bucket's filled up. If they filled it up the whole way to the actual annual max of 70,000, not much you can do, right? It's nice that your employer's giving you that much money, so that's still a win on its own. But if there is any room in there, I would still definitely consider taking advantage of whatever you can to top that bucket off. So a few Roth questions to end. Right around, pretty good, right around 15 minutes for this video again, maybe a little bit over. You know, these are some of my favorite episodes. I love the Ask Me Anythings because it's questions from you all, right? It's questions that you're all asking through the YouTube channel, through our weekly newsletter, even some of the questions we're getting from our presentations, our speaking engagements, and then we get them organized and then we can walk through them because as I always say at my speaking engagements, if you have that question, likely numerous others have that same question. So we love these questions. Drop any questions you'd like to see in the future down below in the comments, or you can also click on our link and then send that over to us on a personal note, and then we'll get that added to the queue. But that covers it for Ask Me Anything Volume 8. Thanks for hanging out with me for the last 15 minutes or so. And as always, I will catch you on the next video.